Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Can I Complete, a Let's Play series where I find unique, classic or unusual games and I try to finish them while showcasing what makes them special. Before we get started, a very special thank you to everyone for watching and supporting my content here, on Twitch, and on my nerdy podcast, Lore Stories. Links to everything in the description. So let's find out. Can I complete Leviathan The Tone Rebellion? I can't actually find anywhere this game is available for purchase digitally, and although I might be old enough to remember using CD-ROMs, I haven't had one in my PC for a long time. So the first step in this Let's Play was getting the ISO to work. If you're too young to know what an ISO is, think of it as stealing someone's Netflix account if Netflix was kept in a box and sold in a shop. And if you're too young to know what a shop is, think of it as Amazon if Amazon was a Minecraft challenge. But we got there in the end, with a very special thank you to the team at myabandonware.com for hosting the game. For free. Unsure if legal, but there you go. We get the game running, eventually, and smash the new game button. And can we talk about this menu for a moment? The difficulty is represented as a spreading darkness to symbolise the Leviathan, and the map size is shown as connections between the tribes. It's distinct but immediately immersive. We pick the supernatural Zygons and begin on the island of Crystal Cave. Now forgive me for rushing, but we are playing on hard, and this game does not mess about. We press the tone disc and immediately start building a structure tone generator. We use these to make more tone to construct more buildings. I will try and keep you in the loop as to what I'm doing as we go. That little pond, called a tone pool, will create more workers for us, provided we have surplus of 5 or more. Every building we make and every worker we create uses 1 surplus, and we get more surplus by finding and priming other tone pools. Once that is done, we will build a crystal tone grower, which we need to make troops. We can't control our workers directly, we can only give them tasks to do, and if there is a lot going on, we can prioritise one job over another. The bigger discs on the ground provide the space for the larger military buildings. You can speed up the gameplay, which I will be doing in places, but for the initial setup, I'm taking it easy and just enjoying the mesmerising soundtrack. One of the things that give me the fuzzies in this game are the circular animations of all the creatures and the buildings. All of them. Perfect little animations with no end and no beginning. And they also reflect what's happening to them in the game. As the clan of Sol is almost complete, we're going to start on the tone spreader. Guess what they do? And we're going to try and double down for the economy of our tribe. But oh no, we're being invaded and attacked. We don't even have any fighting units yet. Hit the panic button. The panic button makes all our workers stop what they're doing and fight whichever enemy they can find. They aren't very good at it, and if you lose all your workers, you lose the game. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So, can I complete the Tone Rebellion? No. No, I can't. Like and subscribe. Okay, so we're going to try this again, playing as the Ethereal Cephians. Side note, we are choosing large map and the hardest difficulty so that you get to see all the islands and the full range of enemies. This kind of blew my mind, as I played this game a lot when I was 8 years old, but only on easy, so finding more bad guys was a plus for me. Oh hey, quick one. You might have noticed sometimes there's stuff on the ground that I send my little people to go and collect. They're artifacts. They're kind of important, but we'll get to those later on. Oh, by the way, this is how you pause the game. You literally send the game to sleep. Lol, it makes me happy. Okay, so, with the military building up, we're going to start bringing Crystal Tone into the building. Once we have enough, we're going to start training workers into combat units. Each building can initially hold 3 combat units. And just in time too, as look who's coming to party. Our banshees don't even need to be told what to do, they just get stuck in. Oh, okay, wow, so the Leviathan clearly aren't interested in taking prisoners. Let's smash that panic button again and hope this goes better than last time. Victory! Huzzah! Alright, so, post-battle, let's start patching up our structures, and let's build another Crystal Tone generator. When combat units are low on ammo, the blue bar, or health, the coloured bar, they will return to their home building to refuel using Crystal Tone. More Crystal Tone equals less downtime. Oh gross, spores! So the Leviathan spores land either on the ground, making defensive structures, or they infect tone pools, making unit-producing structures. Spores don't attack and they're easy to destroy, but you don't want to ignore them. We'll just quickly turn off that panic button as we don't need it. We don't want any of our workers to get... Okay, so you see there how our banshees tried to go back to base, even though they still had a fair bit of health and ammo? One of the gripes of this game is that the AI isn't fantastic. But I mean, come on, it was a bunch of dudes in the early 90s making a game. Just deal with it. Okay, so we've got more banshees on the way, and we're building a tone spreader which will allow us to see and move further along the island. One more spreader, and we have our first Leviathan spawner. These are the buildings that make all other Leviathans, and we have to deal with them before they deal with us. We have victory, and the names of the fallen shall not be forgotten. Oh man, get out of my base! Stop breaking my things! As we spread more tone across the island, our enemy persisted, just as relentless as we were. More panic, more civilians drafted into the army. Another bit of victory. Today, spores! We continued our campaign, defending with one hand while expanding with the other. For the first time we discovered Leviathan defensive structures. The dirty cheaters can even map hack us. another wave from the Leviathan delayed our progress and pushed back our defensive lines. We continued to fight, to build, and to collect artifacts. Micromanagement hung heavy in the air. And at last we have found it, the final base of the Leviathan on our island. If we can destroy this, then we will be safe, and we can begin exploring the other islands. If we can win this battle, we can start a war. We tried unsuccessfully to goad the enemy from their defences. We took injuries, and while we were mopping up some spores, we were dragged into defensive fire, opening up for a clever counterattack from our enemy. Now in our base and infecting tone pools, we were spread too thin and had to once again rely on our workers for combat support. Another large push from the enemy, overwhelming our forces and moving deep into our lines. Destroying our tone spreader and breaking our chain across the island. In a desperate move, I sent our banshees in as commando units to infiltrate and destroy our enemy's means of production. Then hopefully I could survive dealing with any stragglers. It was successful. With no additional tone pools on the map and no spores under enemy control, they had no way to rebuild here. I rearmed the banshees and tidied up the remains of our enemy. We found treasures in their ruins and picked off any survivors. Firstly, we rebuilt our chain of tone spreaders and explored the rest of the island. A magic tone creator was built, and we began stockpiling in our home building. Secondly, with all the tone pools now primed, we destroyed any redundant buildings, increasing our surplus and by extension our population. And finally, with the island free of Leviathan, we took a key we had found and placed it to make a bridge to another island. This also increases our tech level, and we have one advantage. We can travel to the Leviathan, but they cannot travel to us. Palamon awaits. We begin construction of our new military units, the Stormers, unlocked by the placing of the bridge key, and with our high surplus, new workers were created for everyone raised to military service. The goal of Leviathan The Tone Rebellion is to move to each island by collected bridge keys and activate the artifacts on each island. Bridge keys and artifacts are found on each island and are often hidden by the Leviathan. Our first attack was quite successful, destroying many enemy buildings, although we did have some losses on our own side to the forked tongues of the Rakalingus. We successfully destroyed one of their spawners and used Magic Tone to move one of our Banshee buildings to the front lines. This means the Banshees that live here don't need to return to our islands to recharge, but instead our workers need to come here. It can be a risky strategy. Whilst managing the great ballet of which floaters to the front lines and which floaters to return home to recharge, we also began our expansion into enemy territory and destroy another spawner. Although the enemy attempts to reclaim lost footholds, our floaters hold firm. We expand. We destroy. And we collect. Through placing more keys into bridges, we have unlocked the magic casters of the Order of Arcana. Although their basic spells can provide assistance, at higher levels they are an extraordinary advantage. Leviathan spores rain down from the mountains of Palamon, but they do not interfere with our expansion, and under the beating sun we hear the Leviathan spawners spewing more evil into the island. We place another bridge key and unlock our first upgrade for our Banshee units. Once the experience cap is reached, each Banshee will be able to level up, and each building can hold not 3, but 5 combat units. The final spawner has fallen, and at last, Palamon is ours. Victory for the floaters as the Leviathan menace is pushed back. We head home to an upgraded base that now boasts additional storage and begin upgrading our Banshees. In the Tone Rebellion, experience is earned by landing an attack. For this reason, we left a few enemy buildings on Palamon specifically to skill grind our spellcaster in peace. While they continuously cast freeze on these buildings, they will soon level up and become capable of one-shotting enemy spawners. We move on to our next island and another conquest, running in hard with our upgraded Banshees in an attempt at overwhelming force. We freeze the enemy defences with our spellcaster, and although we take some out of map damage by the enemy's long-range artillery, we quickly begin expansion. Although the enemy is able a few small battlefield victories and is able to rebuild their spawner, inevitably we continue to be victorious, clearing infected tone pools and destroying enemy structures. Another island is ours. And then the usual tidy up of the old tone spreaders. Another bridge key plugged in, and now we can upgrade our spellcaster to be able to one-shot enemy spawners. Our influence spreading across the islands, we now head for Norristen, one of the islands closest to the centre and one of the hardest to conquer. Please note, this is not a game that needs to let you win. It can overpower you and leave you in a position where you cannot take control of an island. It will soft lock you, and it doesn't care about your feelings. We decide instead to head to Pangaea, the island home of the natural Dyla tribe. Although they are now extinct, you can play multiplayer and have your friends play as the other tribe. Just like the floaters you can choose at the start, so too are the Leviathan governed by the 4 elements, or realms, coming in such flavours as physical, supernatural, ethereal, and natural. This makes them look distinct from one another, and the tribes have some differences in skills. Additionally, there is a one element is strong against another element that plays out in this game. Further to which, there are tides, which are shown in the compass on the bottom left. As the planets move back and forth, so does the dominance of one element over another. Although I understand this in concept, I never really paid attention to it, and it probably made the game harder for myself as a result. And with Pangaea in the bag, let's go find another island full of monsters to clear out. We've been successfully upgrading our buildings and the experience of our units, so we are rolling with the maximum squad size available to us at the moment. I was feeling confident at steamrolling over our enemies at this point, but in the back of my mind I always worried about the inner islands. Full disclosure, this challenge actually took me a few tries to complete. If that leaves you feeling disappointment, then like and subscribe. We added the final tech unlock to the team with the Astral Travellers and moved on to the Crystal Cave, where the Zygon tribe come from. So the story goes that long ago, all the floaters lived together on one island surrounded by good tone. The Leviathan come and start hurting everyone and being evil, which breaks the world into their separate islands. I have a conspiracy theory about this, which I'll save to the end if anyone's still watching by then. Over time, the individual surviving tribes changed and evolved relative to the dominance of the realm in which they live. Taken directly from the lore, living creatures exist on all 4 realms at once, but they are most comfortable when their perception is firmly rooted in one realm. They can dimly perceive creatures of other realms, but they will seem to have amazing powers and will seem alien and frightening. For example, to a physical floater, creatures of the natural realm have incomprehensible and otherworldly powers, and what they do is strange and seemingly without purpose. With one more island all but under our control, our campaign continues. Always heading to where I'm most afraid to go, the Central Islands. but you've stuck with me so far, so the least I can do is push on. Our next island is the haunted mangroves of the Dreen Bog. I can't shout out the art direction of this game enough. To take a 2D game and with art style and music like this, create something so hypnotizing is a testament to game design and what it means to take your audience on a journey with only the hardware available in 1997. One of the late game challenges is that when the occasional floater dies, its replacement loses all experience, and if you're doing your job right, there's only a finite number of enemies to train on. This means that as you reach the harder enemies, you run the risk of having a smaller, less experienced army than you had to fight the previous enemies. Realising that all we need to do to get XP is land a hit, I arranged for a training montage before heading off to conquer more islands. Making significant progress, our crusade continued. No enemy force was able to stand in our way. No island would remain in Leviathan grasp. We paused, however, facing the breach of Noristen. The enemy can be pushed with an initial intrusion, but the closer you get to the centre of the islands, the harder they push back. With 2 gateways into Noristen, part of the island was revealed to us, but our floaters will always try to take the shortest path home and cannot be stopped. The fear is they will run into enemy fire and they can still be destroyed while in transit across the grid. We stayed a long time at the crossroads, recharging our forces and edging slowly into enemy territory. With long-range enemy fire, it was difficult to place tone spreaders in the most strategic location. The relentless enemy costing us in resources and blood for every step forward. Fear that behind every attack was a larger wave of forces. And finally, the last spawner on Noristen was destroyed. The final errant spores along with it. Memories of previous playthroughs fading in victory. We moved next to the burning island of the core. A logistical mistake, almost costing us the life of our spellcaster. Although deeply valuable in combat, they are ironically the easiest to replace and level up. It seems the long battles across the sky have made me heartless. While recharging our forces, enemy spores made it past our lines, and for a moment we had to fight on two fronts. I thought they might just manage to push us from this island, but our wayward spellcaster returned to us in glory. The elements worked against us, the accuracy of our troops failed, and many lives were lost against the evolved Nadrak, and we were once again pushed back. Our burgeoning campaign now stalled into a series of guerrilla tactics and skirmishes. Although beaten down, our piecemeal tactics found victory, aiming to explore the island as quickly as possible, and then wait in defensive positions while our long-range spellcasters destroyed the enemy constructs, and our troops mopped up any spreading spores, preventing the growth of additional hives, and avoiding, as much as we could, provoking the enemy's superior units. Finally, the island was ours. After so many struggles and so much success, what could possibly stop us now? Morphid was completely infested. I'm not even sure where to start with this one. Okay, so let's break down what we're up against. 1. Every tile has an enemy structure on it, so immediate heavy fire when we arrive that might just destroy our spellcaster before it's able to get the enemy structures to freeze. 2. We could try and go in with all our troops at once as a meat shield so that then our spellcaster can get a shot off, but we lost most of our troops fighting in the previous island. 3. There's a heck ton of the same enemies that wrecked us last time, as their element destroys us very much in a paper beats rock kind of way. 4. If we don't keep up the fight, the spawners will start spewing out troops instead of spores as soon as we start a ruckus on their doormat, and we're going to be locked out of this island. 5. Anything we do destroy will take about 5 times more effort, As with so many spores about, everything's going to get rebuilt straight away. So, what can we do about it? Well, just observing the island, it appears spores have a limited lifespan, so if we can make a beachhead here, a fair number of the spores we see will simply die on their way to us. If we can rock out another montage, we can up our troop numbers to cause enough of a distraction to get stuck into their defences. If we can land a freezing shot, we can then ignore their defences short term and get to fighting the enemy troops. We don't need to expand right away. If we can sit tight and whittle down these spores, we just might make a safe place to siege from, and we might get away with it. Let's get started. So we went back to the Dream Bog to plug in another bridge key. This connected us to a much less crowded island called Mimas. A few great things happened here. We completely wrecked the Leviathan, which in turn got some of our units across the line for XP, and we plugged into the bridge on the other side of Morford, revealing the map. Well, alright. The cat's out of the bag on this one, and all the nasty things are on the far right side of the map. So obviously, we'll be saving Private Ryan on the left side of the map. Let's jump in and see how it goes. Oh man, check out the spores on the mini-map, lining up like ants as soon as there's space available to build. I mean, heck, running out of ammunition here. By the time we recharge, everything's going to be rebuilt. Initially you say to yourself, Self, just keep the tone pools clear. If they can't make spawners, they can't make more troops, and we can wear them down. But then you remember that some of these defensive structures can really wreck your units. And then you panic, because you're not sure what to do. But then your spellcaster turns up and says, hey, relax, I know what to do. Yeah, so, this took a while. I mean, like, thank God for editing, right? Because this took ages. Yeah, so here's the thing. You don't actually have to kill the Leviathan. Not all of them, anyway. You remember those strange objects I've been picking up? Well, they're artifacts. Each island has a place to put artifacts. Put the right artifacts in the right place and you fix the island and unlock knowledge. With all the Paper Beats rock enemies now on the left side of the map, I thought I might try to sneak in on the right side of the map, and was toying with the idea of, let's just go, punch in the artifacts we need, and then GTFO. This didn't work though, because as soon as I turned up, all the enemies raced back to our forces. But it did spread them out a little, making them a touch more manageable. And then for some fantastic reason, my spellcasters rolled in using the wrong bridge, and decided to take a long walk through enemy fire. It's definitely turning into one of those days. So we invested more into our economy, lowering recharge time as much as possible. Spun up some more spellcasters, and went once more onto the bridge. Finally, we were in a situation with few enough enemies on the map that we could sit tight and utilise the extreme long range of our spellcasters' Destroy Enemy Spawner spell. Due to the new investments in economy, they would be topped up and ready to go again very quickly. With so few spores on the map to make new spawners, we were able to keep ahead of them and destroy new spawners before they could make more spores. Without any spores or spawners on the map, the doom of our enemies was assured, and this very long day was ours. There is now only one island left, the centre of the map, Freed. What had once appeared so intimidating was now merely a stepping stone compared to the journey behind. We fell upon the Leviathan like so many islands before. Our banshees and stormcallers, the astral travellers and spellcasters from the Order of Arcania, all playing their part in the strategies forged in our campaign throughout the stars. Our rebellion nearly complete, we destroyed our enemies as best we could, but to completely remove them from the islands, we would need to unlock hidden knowledge and use it to overcome the lingering evil. We must use the artifacts to unlock the knowledge secreted away on each of the islands. First, we will awaken the haunt of the Mad One. Then the lanterns into the vortex of perception. Place the idols to awaken Rajin. The Tase crystals for the tone amplifier. Skulls for the Dreest shade. the tetragen and octagen for Mantu the Still, the lunar and solar discs for the Dream Gate, growth tone and Respiria spores for the last Respiria plant. The key of the floaters and the key of the new ones for the Hall of Stories. A power circuit and the Sands of Time for the Disc of Time. Xenog and Zaphen will call the Shrine of Storms. The Lanterns of Life and Death for the Spire of the Dead. The Keys of the East and West for the Span of Noristen. Taze Taurus for the Memory of the Ancestors. With the artifacts unlocked, a Sephian Awakened One has come to our tribe. With it, we will use the knowledge to destroy the last of the Leviathan. And before I go off on another tangent, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who watches my content and my streams and the Lore Stories podcast. To have people come along who like and follow your creative passions really means the world, and the Tone Rebellion has always been a very special game to me, and I'm so pleased to have it be the first episode of Can I Complete. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. Now, go and get your tinfoil hats ready. So we're going to discuss what I think happened, because it's my Let's Play and I'll do what I want. First up, we're going to watch the full intro. Okay, so did you notice that the building they were in was the haunt of the Mad One? An early floater who chose to pursue dangerous studies deep into the supernatural realm? That guy? Well, in my opinion, this guy was Frankensteining a little too hard, which caused the Leviathan to get all mad, and this whole rebellion is all a giant cautionary tale about hubris, which kind of tracks with all the opposing forces themes and all the knowledge you collect, which I didn't read out because that'd be like watching a Let's Play of an essay contest. But if there's anything you want to see in more detail, or anything else you'd like to know about the game, including how to get it working, hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching Can I Complete Leviathan The Tone Rebellion.